Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast series. We are chilling with Dylan today. Today, we have the first podcast in our new series. This topic is about New Zealand versus Australia, which is the best place to live. And we have our first guest. This guy is a great man. His name is Adam. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thanks so much for having me, Dylan. It's good to be here.
Yeah. How are you doing today, this
Uh,
afternoon?
not too bad, not too bad. Currently living in Sydney, so in the middle of a lockdown at the moment as we speak, at the end of July 2021. But yeah, doing as good as I can be.
Oh, good to
How
hear.
about
Good
how
to
about
hear.
you, Dylan? How about you?
I'm okay. So I'm currently living in Wellington, New Zealand, um, where I'm stationed. There is no lockdown. Um, but
Lucky.
when the weather's bad, we are often locked down in our homes. If anyone from the Wellington region, is listening, what it's like. Um, but yeah, thanks for joining again, Adam. But today, just want to introduce the podcast series. It's called Chilling with Dylan. It's our first episode. I guess we've just started this because we're in different situations at the moment. Lots of time on our spare spare time on our hands. Um, I'm in a period of fun employment, you could say, not doing too much, so doing some interesting things like this. And obviously, over in Australia, they're locked down and very bored out of their minds. Um, and so, yeah, welcome to the podcast series. Just a bit about myself. My name's Dylan. I live in Wellington. I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm 25 years old, and I moved down to the city of Wellington last year. Um, I worked in a government department in the last year or so, but now I'm currently looking for a new job. So hit me up if any of you listeners have any connections. Just kidding. It's not.
Imagine if you actually got a job out of
Oh yeah,
this. How
yeah.
awesome would
Mark
this
my
be?
words. Mark my words. Eh. Yeah. I don't know what else I could say. I'm pretty bad at introductions. So what about you, Adam?
Yeah, I guess I'll keep it short and simple. So my name's Adam. I am 25 also. Um, sort of grew up in New Zealand, moved to New Zealand, Auckland specifically when I was 6, until I think the beginning of 2021. So roughly 17 years or so. And then I decided to move to Australia specifically. Well, I actually moved to Melbourne first. I lived there for around 2 months, living between Airbnbs, so moving around a little bit, and then I ended up in Sydney because I got a job, and I'm currently working at a social enterprise startup. So loving it,
Oh,
really. Yeah.
interesting. Might be able to find out more in future episodes. Um, so yeah, we just want to go through uh, a bit about our experience in the different countries because today's episode is about which country out of New Zealand, Australia is the best place to live. And obviously, we have our own personal lived experiences of these places, and it's not exhaustive. This is from our perspective, so we're no experts. Please don't take this as as complete. Everyone has a different opinions, but we're just going to go into it because this discussion often comes up between our friends. I guess a lot of us who have grown up in New Zealand and Auckland tend to consider moving to Australia to live,
Mm.
and so I guess this has come in part from that. Um, but yeah, I'll just get started with myself. I guess I've lived most of my life. I've studied in Auckland, in New Zealand, for pretty much all my life from primary school. We call it primary in New Zealand. I'm not sure what they call it over in Aussie land.
Yeah, they over in Kangaroo Land over here, we they also call it primary school, but
Oh, okay.
you only have primary and high school, so you don't have
Oh,
intermediate.
wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
primary normally lasts for 6 years, I believe, and then also 6 years in high school. So up until year 12. Whereas
interesting.
yeah,
Yes.
back in New Zealand we have up to year 13.
Yep, yep. Yeah, there's 13 years. It's pretty much the same. I think it's just like a different numbering system.
Hmm.
But obviously, Adam has been doing his research on the Australian education system. Not sure why. Um,
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah, like with primary, intermediate school, high school, and university, we know each other from the University of Auckland where we studied together.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like and I've lived in two cities in New Zealand. Um, I've lived in Auckland and Wellington for only about a year. Um, but I've also traveled in all over Australia. I've been to Sydney multiple times. I've been to Melbourne, Perth, and Brisbane. So let's say four states. So I think I've got a decent amount of knowledge, although I don't live, haven't lived there. But that's me. What about your uh, CV, let's say, Adam, for these places?
Yeah, so let me run through my resume a little bit. Um, so probably similar to Dylan, grew up in Auckland, so I went to primary, intermediate, high school, and uni in Auckland, and actually worked for 3 years in Auckland before I moved over here to Australia. Um, but yeah, sort of knew Auckland very well. I obviously this isn't speaking for all of New Zealand because it's very different. You probably be able to give a more holistic view of it. Living in
Yeah,
Wellington,
yeah,
you have that comparison.
yeah.
Um, and as much as people who grew up in Auckland think everything in New Zealand revolves around Auckland, it's not true.
I thought it did. I thought it did. Nah.
Yeah, classic Jaffa mentality. But
Oh, yeah, yeah. I see that. Like, since I've like lived in Wellington, yeah, I can definitely see why people think Auckland is pricks and all that. You know, like think the world revolves around them.
yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Found out the hard way, let's just say.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess for myself, I've also lived, as I said before, a little bit in Melbourne and currently living in Sydney for a year and a half. So I've also traveled around Australia a little bit. I actually recently went to a trip around Tasmania before lockdown for about a week or so. So that was really nice. Actually, reminded me a lot about New Zealand, uh, which was
Oh,
really nice. Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. I've heard a lot of interesting things about Tasmania. Mainly there's nothing to do there and all that jazz, but
Hey,
maybe
I think that's what Australians think about New Zealand as well sometimes.
oh,
So
that's savage. Oh wow. Oh wow. That
yeah.
is true. That is true. In some ways, um, there is less things to do over here,
Mhm.
which is why like so many of us Kiwis go travel, you know, all over the world and Australia and go live there and anywhere else really. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Um, cool. Well, that's the rundown of like our experience, our very limited life experiences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take with a grain of salt. Obviously, what we're saying doesn't represent
Yeah.
every part of New Zealand, every part of Australia. Like I haven't
Exactly.
been to a lot of states around Australia as well, so I can't speak for that.
I think for our older listeners out there, if there are any, you'll probably be shaking your heads at us, being like, "Oh, what are these young people? They don't have no idea what they're talking about, or whatever it is." Or perhaps you are one of our international listeners outside of Australasia, in which case I say welcome. Um, you know, bonjour, buongiorno, 欢迎大家. What else? What else do you say?
Dude, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try for that. That's
Uh, um, yeah. Okay. Okay.
just
Oh,
welcome to chilling with Dylan.
yeah, welcome to Chilling with Dylan. This is literally the first episode, so if you like, I don't think anyone's listening other than our mates. Um, yeah, but actually, that's one point. I think it's cool. Like we have our different indigenous cultures in Australia and New Zealand. Like there's like Maori in New Zealand and Aboriginal culture in Australia, and that's really unique to these countries, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I have
Yeah,
to say, New Zealand's done a better job at preserving it,
yeah,
although it's
yeah,
not perfect. It's still a
yeah,
lot of discrimination
yeah,
against Māoris
yeah,
and other sort of people around.
yeah,
Comparative to Australia, it's a much better job. Yeah.
yeah. So, so for our listeners, basically, Adam is saying that Australia is more racist. No, so,
Hey,
so that's
that's you heard it from Dylan, not me. All right.
um, I'm
Your
just trying
words,
to
not
score.
mine.
I'm trying to score points. I'm trying to score points early. That's a bit of a low blow. I'm
It's
sorry.
not completely wrong. Okay.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, I was chill. I'm like, this is meant to be like a chill comedy podcast. Let's not like get too intense
Yeah.
on the. Oh well, maybe if we go off track and just bring that out. But
Hmm.
I was hoping to keep it relatively chill with this.
Well,
Anyways,
it's called
yes,
chilling with Dylan.
yeah, it's chill. Yeah. Please don't like hate on us or flame us or anything. I don't even know. Um, yeah, but like, I think I just thought, I think I just for those international viewers also say kia ora because that's hello in Māori in New Zealand, and yeah, like just bring everyone close together with this podcast. Anyways, let's get down to it though. So Adam, like you've thought about this a lot, like you've lived in places. What do you think on just on in general? What's the best place to live between both countries from your experience? I just want to just hear from you, and then I'll
Just
hear from
general thoughts in
yeah.
general.
Just what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, having lived a little bit in both countries, uh, I feel like both countries, as most people would imagine, if you've lived in either or even if you're an international person, there's a lot of similarities between the two because we're neighboring nations. Um, there's a lot of cultural similarities, some differences as well, but all in all, it's same, but not quite the same
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
same
yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. So overall, there's a lot of big similarities like sports culture. Both countries are huge on rugby,
True.
cricket. Although Australia is very much into their football, which effectively is Aussie rules
Yeah.
for anyone outside of Australia. Um, both countries have very chilled, laid back, easygoing culture. You know, like
Yeah.
you imagine Australia, New Zealand, summers, you probably spend some time on the beach, um, wearing your jandals, which is the correct way to say it. You know, flip flops for Americans and Canadians, or thongs for Australians. But jandals, Japanese sandals, is the
Yeah.
correct way to go about it. I firmly stand by that as a New Zealander. But yeah, it's both countries, like I said, are very easygoing, laid back. Probably one of the most iconic parts would be like a sausage sizzle in New Zealand,
Hmm.
um, or over here in Australia, they're called like a Bunnings snag. So you go to Bunnings, which is a hardware store. They often have sausages, like a sausage sizzle going on outside, similar in New Zealand as well. But that's quite an iconic cultural heritage of both countries, I guess. Something that's shared, similar with like fish and chips and pies.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, New Zealand takes a bit uh,
Uh,
is a little bit better on those types of classic foods, but
pies,
Australia's not
eh?
bad, not bad.
Talking about pies in particular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one. You remember one time we thought we'd do like a road trip around Auckland and just
Mm.
go to all the pie places and all the sides, and like that's still meant to happen at some point whenever you return, eh?
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, but I guess there are some large differences that I've observed as well
yeah,
between sort of Australia and New Zealand. Um, I'm obviously speaking from someone that's like relatively younger. I haven't, I can't speak for all people, but it feels like there's more activities to do as a young person in Australia.
True. Yeah.
Things are open a bit later. There's more variety of things to do.
Hmm.
Um, People tend to dress a bit better in Australia compared to New Zealand. Throwing no shade, like New Zealand, like Kiwis are so laid
Oh,
back, so
yeah, yeah,
chill. You know, you chuck on t-shirt, chuck on some stubbies
yeah,
or like
yeah,
whatever gumboots, whatever
yeah.
you want to wear, jandals outside. That's all good. A lot of that just doesn't fly as much in Australia unless you're like next to a beach. Most people tend to dress up a bit nicer,
Yeah,
especially in Sydney and Melbourne.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so a lot more name brands, which is not necessarily always better, but people put more effort into their appearances here.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I guess also it's just how people treat you outside of cities. I would say as a whole, New Zealanders, although New Zealanders and Australians are both very nice people, I feel New Zealanders is slightly a little bit nicer. It's sort of like New Zealand to Australia is kind of like how Canada is to the US, like just nicer
Yes.
people.
Are you segueing into a possible potential
keep
future
keep an eye
podcast in the
out.
series? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
keep an eye out.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your general thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, I guess I've thought about it a lot. I think this can come up quite a bit for people who, I guess, like us. Like we both studied at Auckland University. We did commerce degrees as one of our, you know, I did something else, but yeah, we studied business, and like career wise, it becomes the big question. I got asked this a lot after I finished university because I hadn't lined up the job right after yet.
Hmm.
Um, oh, would you consider moving to like Sydney or something? Um, so I thought about it a lot. All these things. A lot of friends of mine were over there, and yeah, it's nice when you know people. But
Hmm.
I guess there's a few aspects. I think career wise, let's just say if you want to, make big money, you can easily score those sorts of jobs in Australia for so many different industries, professions. Like some of the ones like I know of that people go, for example, you got like business law, all those are, just paid at least 20-30% higher in Australia
Yeah.
for those who are yo pros. Even trades, like you get mad money over there. Yeah, a lot of Kiwis I think rock up to Australia uh, after they turn 18 and finish high school, and they're just like millionaires soon enough. Um, but yes, I guess that's one of the main things I think Australia has an advantage. We're not even going into like weather and people and stuff. Like, it's pretty hot, so hot that you guys got wildfires all the time, but
Yeah.
it's and nice beaches as well. Um, you know, just like so much opportunity like to travel so many different places.
Hmm.
And probably more people, I guess for some people having more people around you, like in those really big cities, is a good thing. For others, it's not really that much of a good thing. Maybe you want something more intimate and smaller, where you can know more people, like people in your neighborhood. You're not just like another cog in the wheel of this random big city. So yeah, on that front, like I guess I'm just saying New Zealand's pretty good. I can't compete in terms of like a lot of economic opportunities, but we do have an amazing lifestyle out here. Like one thing I think, just going off topic, like I think we definitely have the best milk in the entire world. Like I swear, like milk, because we have a lot of dairy farms. Hey, Adam, like there's a lot of
Yeah,
agriculture,
a lot of
and
cows.
yeah, I've like when I traveled around, lived overseas, come back, I'm like, man, like the milk, like just the stuff overseas tastes like plastic almost, and that includes Australia, although it's pretty good.
Yeah,
What do you think?
maybe it's just me, but I feel like Australian milk isn't too bad as well.
Oh,
But
okay.
also, the best New Zealand milk always gets exported anyway, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is a bit of a bummer.
So, oh yes, I just want to say, if you're looking for agricultural work, New Zealand is the place to be. At least I think we've got a solid solid job opportunities there always.
Hmm.
Anyways, yeah, like I think there's so many different aspects of it. I think people here are really friendly in New Zealand. Not to say they're not as friendly in Australia, but um, yeah, people are more chill, laid back, less serious about what they dress. It's about who you are on the inside.
Yeah,
Nah,
that's true.
I just being really cheesy, but and more so like I found living in Wellington, it feels more like that. The smaller, I guess, the city or the country, the more the more it feels like um real. Like it's this about someone's Instagram profile, their flashy new car or their flashy new air fryer or their new shoes or kicks. Like whether you got Yeezys or what do the kids wear these days? I don't know. Like, sorry, I mean,
Yeah,
what's the most popping brand? I feel like
dude, I don't
I
know.
don't
I
know.
feel like we're too old for that now.
Yeah, yeah.
25.
We spoke about the like older generation listening, but if you're like 16 or so, or like listening to this, and you're probably like, judging us hard, like, oh, who are these grandpas going
Boomers.
on and out? Yeah, yeah. Oh, like why are they using podcasts? Shouldn't they be making this on TikTok instead or whatever? Like, yeah.
Oh, good point.
Oh,
Good point.
yeah. I'm gonna get roasted. Like, some people are gonna like hate because of this, but it's okay. Anyways, like, yeah, obviously, I think this is just our thought. I think, like our perspective, we're like, I guess, millennials in this day and age, young professionals.
Hmm.
If you can even call us professional or young, but I don't know. Yeah. I guess that this is what this session is about. Like, which best place for you if you're just someone like us seeking their identity, their place in the world, their profession, their calling, whatever it is,
Yeah.
their tribe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very true. Yeah, I guess sort of just to start it off, uh, should we just make a case for
Yeah.
each country to live in?
I think I'm gonna. I think it's already going towards this direction, but I'm picking New Zealand. I'm in that corner, and you you're obviously living in Australia. You're living in Sydney, so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I guess I gotta represent Australia
Okay.
as well. So,
Okay. Okay. How about we start with not the best, but the worst thing about the other country? Oh,
oh,
you're like,
juicy,
yeah,
juicy.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Can you think of something
Ah,
bad, the worst thing about New Zealand to like,
like, I think that's very subjective to each person. Like,
yeah.
if you're someone that, for example, likes to shop, Australia, like New Zealand, basically doesn't have that many options. Like, come on, there's not even an
Oh,
IKEA yet. There's
true.
yeah, there's a
True.
lot of limitations in what you can buy in Australia, in New Zealand versus Australia. But I guess personally for me, I'm a big foodie. I really enjoy trying out new
Yeah.
foods, more variety, more international foods as well. And in terms of authenticity, flavor, um, and sort of variety, Australia, especially Melbourne, has it
Oh, yeah.
much better than New Zealand. Although New Zealand food's not bad, it's just not quite the same.
Okay. Fair. This is very fair. There's more variety in Australia with more diverse, I guess, diverse range
Yeah.
of people who bring their like cuisines and cultures and their techniques.
Mm.
You brought up Melbourne, and I'm like, man, this is another discussion, Melbourne versus Sydney. We haven't had this so much. We could easily make another podcast on this. So like if you're our friends listening, please,
If you're
like,
interested, comment
yeah,
below.
yes.
Maybe that will be the next.
Yeah.
It'll be in the works.
Yeah, yeah. If the demand is there, if you don't want to hear anything more from us after this podcast, then please tell us to stop or don't say anything. But yeah, that could be something in future. Um, yeah, okay. Food. That's fair. That's fair.
Mm.
Better food in Australia. I'll agree. Um,
Well,
for
what
me,
do you reckon's the worst thing about Australia? There's probably a lot of things, to be honest.
but the worst thing about Australia is that Adam lives there. No, just kidding.
Oh,
Oh, I've been waiting to say that.
The burn, the roast.
Nah, I think the worst thing is I thought it would be funny to say the people, but then I'd offend like 25 million people, and then that wouldn't be
Yeah.
good. So I'm gonna have to say that the worst thing about Australia are the animals, all the scary spiders and snakes and all these things. Um,
Yes,
yes,
that
all
is
these
true.
things, like apparently you just like living in your house and then some snake wanders in and is chilling on your toilet. I don't know, has that happened to you? Like,
Well, not to me. Okay, but I do have to say, Australian animals are scary and like fierce.
yeah,
I haven't encountered any snakes or gotten bitten by any spiders or anything, but that's always like a fear at the back of your mind.
yeah.
But what I have gotten attacked by is magpies. They're
Magpies.
just, yeah, magpies. There's something about birds in Australia
Yeah.
that's terrifying. So this happened in Canberra, which is like the capital city of Australia.
Oh wow. Oh, okay.
Um, I was just walking down the road with a kebab, walking down, enjoying it, and out of nowhere, this swarm of magpies sort of just follow me and stalk me, and one of them actually takes a swoop at me.
Yeah.
Um, I duck, and it actually hits the kebab right out of my hand, and it drops on the floor. It's
That's like
terrifying.
that's like the worst scene in a movie, like the slow motion, the like kebab falling on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
Yeah, it
wow.
is. It is tragic. It is tragic. But yeah, birds are aggressive, like ibises, bin chickens. There's so
Damn.
many scary birds in Australia.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like it's scary if you're scared of animals, like especially spiders and snakes and stuff. Like there's none of those dangerous ones in New Zealand. The most. I mean, the most dangerous ones what, like kiwis? I don't even know. Like we got lots of birds, but like they're not very dangerous. They're pretty harmless.
Yeah,
Um,
there's nothing
yeah,
that can
there's
kill you in a bush, basically.
really isn't. Yeah. So here, yeah, it's the people that are more harmful here, rather than animals, rather than vice versa in Australia. But also, yeah, speaking of, I think I'm just taking the liberty of one more swipe. I think uh, the I guess this is probably like going to the best thing about New Zealand. Now, like the best things about the country we've chosen.
Hmm.
This is taking a slight with Australia, but New Zealand's definitely done the best in the world, pretty much on our COVID response. If that is, like something to be proud of. Like we barely had any lockdown time
Yeah,
compared to Australia, who you guys were like so, proud and gloating. You guys got away with like a lot of time, and now all of a sudden the whole country's like, all locked down, and you guys aren't getting out to see the sun for so long. Um, yeah, like I mean that's the reason for
yeah.
this podcast, but
Like
like
I can't even, I can't even dispute that, but that is true.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think basically what I'm saying is that we've got a pretty good, well-run country. There's yeah, just like good decision making. I'm not supporting any particular government, or anything. Everyone loves our prime minister though, but like around the world.
yeah,
But like no matter which side they seem to be, like we don't have like crazy politicians. Not
yeah.
nothing too crazy. Not like the US
It's
or
very
like a lot of
central.
countries.
It's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
middle
yeah,
ground. Like
yeah. It's
middle
just sort
right,
of
middle left. You're not really that
yeah.
far.
Sums up our country. Like we don't really do anything out there. We're just like you're sort of in the middle. Like yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's good for a lot of people. We just like to take it chill, just like we do with chilling with Dylan.
Yep.
That's it's
Very, very accurate.
it's
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess. Oh, first of all, I gotta defend Australian animals a little bit,
Oh, okay.
or else I feel like I'll catch a lot of flack.
Yeah,
There's still a lot of great animals. There's so much more variety of animals in Australia.
yeah,
There's obviously, like the iconic kangaroos. There's cute wombats, quokkas as well.
Yes,
Have you guys know what those are?
yes, I've seen quokkas and taken a picture. They're really cute. Yeah,
Yeah,
love them.
absolutely adorable. So, on the flip side of being extremely dangerous and deadly, there's really adorable, cute wildlife in Australia as well. Um, yeah, but I gotta say, similar to what you alluded to before, Dylan, the income, like economic opportunities, are so much better in Australia, and I feel that's probably one of the main reasons why a lot of people move, for either career progression, higher income, or I guess overall a better standard of living. Obviously, in the rankings this year, New Zealand's done better than Australia, but overall, oh no, actually no, Australia still wins out, I think, but Wellington does very well,
What's this for in terms of
and
living
the
standards,
standard
those
of living,
indexes?
yeah,
Yes, yes. I think both like
both
Australia and
do
New
quite
Zealand
well.
cities tend to be up there in the top 10 or whatever.
Yeah,
And then there's a lot of ones from Scandinavia and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just feel in Australia there's slightly more things happening. It's similar to New Zealand. If you're coming from New Zealand into Australia, a lot of the lifestyle is very similar. You won't have that much of a culture shock, which makes it a lot easier to settle in. Um, but also, there's a lot more shops open, a lot more bars open, a lot more variety of things that you want to do. So uh, from stories I've heard of people living in New Zealand versus stories of my friends that I sort of interact with in Australia. Like on a typical weekday in New Zealand, after work, you might go home, you might just make dinner, hang out with your partner or whatever, and just chill out,
Yeah.
chilling with Dylan, as you say. Um, but whereas I feel in Australia, there's more things happening. You might one day go on dinner, back when you could go to like a dinner party,
Yeah.
or you could go out for a couple of drinks with your coworkers. Um, Even just on a random Tuesday, Wednesday, that sort of stuff happens more often. And I feel like there's more younger professionals around, more similar people to you. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but this is obviously from a very young professional
Yeah.
stage of life.
Yeah. We'll look back on this podcast in, I don't know, 40 years time and be like, oh, we were so wrong. Like like we should have I don't know, lived in I don't know, like South Africa or something. It was like the best place
Maybe
overall.
that's the place to be.
Maybe we've like searched, like compared the wrong two places.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just threw, yeah, that was just a random uh place I threw in the works. Anyways, well, I think we're coming towards the end of our time. We've allocated time for this first podcast. Let's not bore the audience, the people. Uh, give them what they want, which is a short podcast and not that much time listening to us boring them. Anyways, thanks for joining us today, Adam. Uh,
You're welcome. You're very
I,
welcome. Thanks for having me, Dylan.
yeah.
I guess for any of the people out there, uh, if you can leave a comment or just message Dylan about what your favorite part about living in either Australia or New Zealand would
Yes,
be. I think
yes,
that'll be a great
yes.
question to end off the
And
day with.
you can't say that the best part of living in New Zealand is because Dylan is there. It's not. It's not. It's not about me. It's not about. It's not the best. The best thing isn't about like us being there. It's not a. Nah.
As hard as it is to say, yeah.
Yes. Yes. We are all together. They are us. You know. We are. We're together. Even if you're on the other side of the world, we're connected through this podcast and the internet. So say that, please. That'd be awkward. Um, yeah. So thanks again. Thanks to our listeners for this first podcast that we've recorded in this series. For getting to the end of this, we're really open to hearing your feedback, and if you are interested and you become one of our fans, our loyal followers, I don't know, where you want to see the future of this go. So this is just probably to our mates at the moment, really, unless you're like some random person, then hello in whatever language you speak. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for that. We'll hopefully have another episode in the near future, possibly with new people, to spice it up. Yeah, well, awesome. That's the end of the podcast. Hope you all have a lovely day or evening, whatever it is you're doing. Um, and yeah, that's the end of the first episode of Dylan is chillin' or chillin'.
With Dylan.
Hey!
Hey, all right.
That was cool. All right, see you everyone.
See you guys.